AITA for telling my husband to ignore my sister and not change our daughter's clothes. My younger sister used to live nearby, and our daughters, mine is 6, hers is 7, went to the same ballet school for a little over a year. My niece, I'll call her Tessa, got into ballet first, and she was the one who got my daughter, I'll call her Emily, interested as well. Both girls love ballet, and having them at the same school was great. Earlier this year, my sister and niece recently moved to a different neighborhood. They're now far enough from the ballet school that my sister had to pull Tessa out of class. At first, Tessa was enrolled in a different ballet school, but she didn't adjust well to the change. She didn't engage with her peers and completely refused to take part in class. My sister pulled her out after 5 lessons. Since then, ballet has been a touchy subject around Tessa. I completely understand that, but the ways my sister has tried to get around this do bother me a little. The earliest example I can think of is when she pulled Tessa out of the new school. Before doing so, she tried to convince me to either enroll Emily in the new school with Tessa or pull her out of ballet entirely. Her reasoning was that she didn't want my niece to feel alone or jealous of my daughter. I said no, and she didn't insist. The situation that led me to write this post happened last Thursday, when my sister, her boyfriend and Tessa came to our place for dinner. They arrived around the same time my husband was leaving to pick Emily up from her ballet class. On his way there, he called me and said he'd gotten a text from my sister telling him to change Emily into her school uniform. She'd been wearing it before ballet, because she didn't want Tessa to see our daughter in her leotard. My husband was running late and would have to pick Emily up quickly, so he'd have no time to change her inside the school. I also didn't like the idea of my 6-year-old changing clothes in a moving vehicle with windows, so the car wasn't an option either. I told my husband to ignore my sister, and he agreed with my reasoning. He offered to get Emily to put on a pair of shorts on top of the leotard, and I thought that was a better idea. They arrived soon after. Tessa didn't notice the leotard, but I could tell that her mother did. She was still quiet the whole dinner, only addressing her daughter, and threw several angry glances at my husband. My sister called me the next day. She tried to tell me what my husband had done, but I said that I'd been the one to tell him to ignore her request. She accused me of mocking Tessa by trying to remind her that her cousin was still in their old ballet school. My sister also said that Emily would end up rude and entitled if I didn't teach her to show other people grace. I get her side, and I sympathize with my niece. However, I have been bending over backwards to make sure my children don't upset Tessa, and I think the request to change Emily's clothes was both pointless and ridiculous. AITA?